Hi, my name is Sony Erika Niret and my student ID number is 9311251351160001. I am taking Bachelor in Early Childhood Education and the purpose of the speech is for students to demonstrate their ability and confidence in preparing and practicing effective communication skills in any setting. Today I will deliver my speech in a demonstrative speech on how to make a Kuih Lapis. Today I will demonstrate on how to make a steamed Kuih Lapis or Gao Teng Kuih or Jiu Cheng Gao. We will learn how to make Kuih Lapis or Gao Teng Kuih or Jiu Cheng Gao with an amazingly springy soft texture and can be done layer by layer with all the tips you need to know. Gao Teng Kuih is popular in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. Gao Teng Kuih is made with gluten-free flour such as rice flour, tapioca flour, cornstarch. Some people add sago or cassava flour. There is also a baked version, often called as Kuih Lapis Surabaya or Kuih Lapis Legit. The steamed Kuih Lapis is so much easier to make compared to the baked version. Most people will make it with 3 colors, which is green, red, and white. Kuih or kuih is a fairly broad term in Malay or Bahasa language, which may include items that would be called as cakes, cookies, dumplings, pudding, biscuit, or pastries in English. Lapis means layers in Bahasa Indonesian or Malay. I am a big fan of Gao Teng Kuih because it is so delicious and I love it so much. Here are the ingredients that is needed in making steamed Kuih Lapis. We will need 300 ml of coconut milk, 150 grams of granulated sugar, half tablespoon of vanilla extract, 250 ml of boiling hot water, 180 grams of tapioca flour, 40 grams of rice flour, and a little bit salt. We also will need red food coloring, green food coloring, and we will be need this size of pan, which is 5 x 5 x 3 inches of pan, and various type of measuring cup. Here are the instructions in making steamed Kuih Lapis. Step number 1. Pour in the boiling water. Make sure the water is boiling hot and stir until sugar dissolves. Step number 2. Mix tapioca starch, rice flour, salt, and stir to mix. Step number 3. Continue to stir until you get a smooth batter. And then step number 4. We need to add food coloring. We need to divide the batter into roughly 3 equal portions in separate bowls, roughly about 300 ml each color. Add about 1 or 2 drops of food coloring. You can add more if you want the color more intense to each bowl, and then stir to mix. Here are some tips for steaming process in making Kuih Lapis. Step number 1. Prepare the steamer by bringing water to a boil. Wrap the lid with a cloth to prevent condensation drips back to your steam cake. Step number 2. Lightly brush or sides of the pan and bottom with cooking oil. Preheat it by steaming it empty over boiling water for 5 minutes. Step number 3, give the batter a good stir each time before you lather it on the pan, because the flour tends to settle at the bottom after a while. We can start with white color and green and red color. Pour about 100 ml of the white batter into the pan. Lower the heat to medium. Don't steam over high heat or the layer will wrinkle, or worse, the water will boil over. Let it steam for about 7 minutes for the first layer. Okay. Step number 4. This is the top tips. After 7 minutes, the layer should be set, but you may see a bit of liquid pooling on top. Don't worry. Wear a glove and swirl the pan to distribute that liquid and leave the lid open for 1 minute. You will see that the liquid is no longer runny and set. Then you can pour the next layer. Step number 5. Very gently pour or lather another layer on top. Don't pour it from a height as it may damage the layer underneath, and keep it close and pour or lather. Top tips number 6. Monitor to see if you need to refill the water in your steamer. Don't wait until it dries up. If you know you will need to refill the water in your steamer before pouring the next layer, wait until the layer that is still steaming to be done with and then add the water. Close the lid back, let it come back to a boil, and then lower the heat to medium and pour the next layer and continue. Step number 7. Repeat this sequence until you get 9 layers. From the second layer up to 8 layers. Steam for 5 minutes each layer or until the layer is set, then leave the lid open for 1 minute. If you see any liquid pooling on top before pouring the next layer, after pouring last layer, steam for 5 minutes and then turn off heat and remove the lid and let it sit for a minute or 2, and then remove the lid from the steamer. Okay, now is the unmolding and cutting process. First step, we need to let the cake cool down completely. This may take 3 hours or longer before you attempt to remove the cake from the pan. Once it has cooled down completely, brush the top layer with thin layer of oil. You can loosen the cake from the pan with an oil spatula or knife. While ready to cut, use an oil knife or plastic knife to cut to prevent sticking. Here are some tips on how to store gauteng kuih or kuih lapis. Kuih lapis can be kept at room temperature for 1 day. They can be kept in the refrigerator for about 3 or 4 days. They stay reasonably soft for about 3 or 4 days. They will harden a bit after 4 days but are still reasonably soft for the longer you keep them in the fridge, and that is normal. When you reheat them again by microwaving or steaming briefly, the texture will be back to normal. Do not freeze as the texture will deteriorate. Why you will like this gauteng kuih recipe? Because it is an amazing, springy, resilient texture. The texture of this cake is springy yet soft and very resilient and does not tear easily, which make it peeling layer by layer so much fun, especially for the kids. Kuih stays soft and bouncy even after refrigeration. The texture of the cake is simply amazing. This recipe is no fuss because you only need tapioca starch or tapioca flour, rice flour, sugar, coconut milk, food coloring, and boiling water. And this is so super easy to be made. Okay. Last but not least, thank you for watching my video. This video is related in making an oral presentation, and today I had delivered a speech which is related with demonstrative speech on how to make a kuih lapis. Okay, once again, thanks for watching. Bye.